The Hunt for Voldorius. At the centennial feast in celebration of his ascension, Honorable Kublai, the great Khan of the White Scars, announced his intention to bring to justice one of the greatest foes ever to have opposed the chapter. Kurnax Voldorius was a demon prince and a war leader of the renegade Alpha Legion, and as vile a foe as any of the White Scars had fought. Thousands of billions had died when Voldorius had unleashed the merciless horror of the Blood Tide some 2,000 years earlier, and billions more had perished in the sacrilegious massacre on Kento, Loran, and Blind Hope. Now, the Rey Khan declared, Voldorius' triumphal reign of terror would cease. Khosrow Khan, captain of the Third Company and the master of the hunt, was dispatched, charged to return with the Demon Prince's head or not at all. It was a hunt to last more than a decade, though Khosrow caught sight of his prey on the battlefields of Zoran and Kevil, and almost came within striking distance in the choked underhives of Madonna. Chance always conspired to save Voldorius from his deserved fate, and so the trail led Khosrow Khan and his company to Quintus, a desolate planet to the galactic south of Chogoris. Quintus had only recently been one of the Imperium's chief bulwarks against the brutal greenskin empires of the Jagal Stars, but that was before the coming of Kurnax Voldorius. Through intimidation and false promises, the Demon Prince's warband had infiltrated and corrupted Quintus's military. The White Scars found no mere warband, but a whole planet ready to stand against them. But Khosrow would not be so easily denied. Leaving their strike cruiser in the outer system, the White Scars mounted their Thunderhawk gunships. Following rigorously plotted stealth trajectories, the attack craft slipped through Quintus's defense grid and made landing amongst the blasted canyons southwest of the planetary capital of Mankara. Khosrow expected to have a battle on his hands to secure the landing zone, but he found no waiting enemies, but rather unexpected allies in the shape of the Kavan Shrike and the Raven Guard, Third Company. Shrike had been on campaign in the Targus system when news of Quintus' fall had reached his ears. With the Targus battle zone swinging into the Imperium's favor, Shrike redeployed his company to Quintus and had been fighting a guerrilla war against the Alpha Legion invaders ever since. The piloting expertise that had allowed the White Scars to make planetfall unobserved by the rebels had not been skillful enough to go unnoticed by Shrike's forces, and the Raven Guard had mustered to meet the new arrivals. As dropships deployed the White Scars support vehicles, the two captains held council of war. Neither entirely trusted the other. The rivalry between the White Scars and the Raven Guard went back many thousands of years, but both Shrike and Khosrow knew that they had little choice but to set aside their inherited differences. Weighty though they were. The Alpha Legion and their treacherous vassals were simply too numerous for one company to defeat without the other's aid, and so the Space Marines' battle plans had to be drawn accordingly. The following morning before dawn, Shrike led his company in a surprise assault against the traitors garrisoned in orbital defense batteries some leagues west of Mont Kara. This was the method of war Shrike and his brothers had perfected against the forces of Wog Skullcrack, and within moments of the assault's beginning, the traitor forces were in disarray. A good portion of the complex was already in Space Marine hands when Kurnax Voldorius, seeing the danger, dispatched half of his Alpha Legion and much of Mankara's garrison as reinforcements. But Shrike had drawn his plans well. As the Raven Guard captain led assault squads into the heart of the complex, his remaining forces entrenched themselves on the perimeter. So it was that Voldorius' tide of reinforcements crashed upon the bastions of the defense complex's outer fortifications as an ocean upon rocky shores. The lieutenant directing the assault was a canny foe, and held his deadliest troops back from the slaughter. Instead, he sent wave after wave of cultists and traitors under the guns of the Raven Guard, casually expending their worthless lives in search of a weakness to exploit. Such a weakness offered itself up when one of the bastions cracked asunder, broken by fire from Iron Soul, a Baneblade manned by traitorous crew. Seizing his opportunity, the lieutenant led his reserves forward. Over 300 Chaos Space Marines flung themselves at the single point in the defenses. The Raven Guard stood their ground, pouring bolter fire into the oncoming horde, but their numbers were thin and the enemy ferocious. Shrike emerged from the depths of the complex to lead a counterattack, and the enemy fell back wherever the Shadow Captain trod. But, little by little, the Raven Guard began to give ground. The Alpha Legion lieutenant roared his praise to his terrible gods and drove his men forwards over the dead and dying. It was then that the White Scars struck. Before Shrike had led the assault on the orbital defense complex, the White Scars had concealed themselves in the caves to the south. Now, With the bulk of the Chaos Force strung out, the White Scars launched their attack. With a throaty roar of vengeance, rhinos and bikes broke from the shadows and spurred towards the fray. The Iron Soul was the first to feel the White Scars' wrath. Though the Baneblade's commander bellowed at his crew, the massive tank could not turn swiftly enough to engage the new threat. Corsoros' vanguard, skilled bikers all, tore through the traders that protected the Iron Soul's flanks, never once slowing their breakneck charge. The White Scars' bikers swarmed about the adamantium Leviathan's flanks, targeting sponsons with meltifire and vision slits with flamers. One by one, the Iron Soul's guns were silenced, and the bikers spurred on towards the embattled Raven Guard, leaving only a crippled tank and slain rebels to the rear. Dismayed by the unforeseen assault to their flank and the swift demise of the Iron Soul, the traitors fled. The Elf Legion fought on to the last, but the White Scars were upon them. Squads of bikers swept through the ranks of Chaos Space Marines, blades and lances flashing. More White Scars disgorged from rhinos, bolters coughing death at the foe. By the time Cave and Shrike led their Raven Guard over the defenses and into the fray, the outcome of the battle was no longer in doubt. Shrike and Corsoro had no time for celebration. Voldorius and his followers still had control of Mankara, and, if given time, would be able to fortify it further. Leaving a small garrison in the orbital defense complex, the White Scars took their rhinos and their Raven Guard to their Thunderhawk gunships. Mankara's defenses remained a concern. Both Shrike's and Corsoro's companies had traveled light, and could only boast a single Vindicator between them, the Thunderheart. Fortunately, the efficiency of Voldorius' despotic rule did not extend to repair and maintenance. A salvo of Hellstrike missiles from the Raven Guard's Thunderhawks and a brief close-range pounding from the Thunderheart brought down a sizable segment of Mankara's outer fortifications. Before the traitor garrison could react, the White Scars were loose in the city. Not wishing to get caught in the brawl of a city fight, the White Scars fought from their transports, debarking only to launch lightning assaults. Bikers hurtled through the streets and alleys, swarming wherever the defenders were unprepared. As the White Scars commanded the battle at street level, Shrike's Thunderhawks deployed squad after squad of Raven Guard into the upper levels of Manufactorums and Bacillas. Beset from above and below, the defenders stood little chance. Many threw down their arms and begged for mercy, but there was none to be had in those blood-soaked streets. At the end, only Voldorius and his personal bodyguard remained. Infused with the bloody joy of battle, the Demon Prince fought on against the impossible odds. Many battle brothers fell to Voldorius' wrath that day, but the vengeance of the Space Marines would not be denied, and they pressed forwards to finish their foe. Encircled, outnumbered, and trapped in the shadow of the Cathedral of the Emperor's Wisdom, Kurnax Voldorius finally met his end. The Demon Prince did not easily fall, and his bodyguard of corrupt and twisted Chaos Space Marines fought without fear, yet the outcome was surely never in doubt. At the last, even Voldorius' unholy strength could not prevail against the determination of his foes. Pierced and pinned to a fallen statue of the Emperor by Shrike's talons, Voldorius could not escape the vengeance of Corsoro's blade. With one terrible blow, the White Scars captain clove the Demon Prince's head from his shoulders, erasing his foul stain from existence. A month later, with Quintex in the hands of an Imperial Guard army sent from Talarn, Corsoro and Shrike exchanged their final words and went their separate ways once again. Shrike returned to the Targus battle zone, claiming Voldorius' head as a gloried prize. Corsoro Khan returned to a hero's welcome in the great palace of the White Scars. Each captain took with him the respect of the other and the glory of a hard battle won, and perhaps the beginning of a brotherhood restored between chapters that had for too long been rivals.